Om Bhadram Karnebi Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashe Makshabhirya Jatra Stirai Rangai Stuštavansas Tanubi Vyashema Deva Hitam Yadayu Swastina Indro Vruddashrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starkyo Arishtanemi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last Wednesday we started the study of Muṇḍaka Upanishad from the Atharva Veda. And we saw that the meaning of the word Upanishad consists of Upa plus Ni plus Sat. And the Sat is a dhatu, a root of a verb, not Satchidananda Sat. And the meaning is that it refers to knowledge. And the Sat verb means that it has three meanings. Destroys, gets for us, and loosens. And when it is joined by this Upa and Ni, it means that knowledge which is with the rishis. And we are sadhakas, aspirants. If we approach that knowledge with love and resolve and steadfastness, then it will destroy our wrong knowledge forever. And also, it will get Brahman or our real nature for us. And it will loosen or finish off our bondages. We have seen that our knowledge today is not information or intellectual conviction. The very consciousness at the base of all our thinking, feeling and will, imagination and everything, they are functions of the mind. But behind that, as the basis of that, we are aware directly that we are a jiva, a living being, a subject living in the midst of the world, which is full of objects. That is our basic consciousness today. And this is wrong. Because if we are the body changes every minute, every second. So which we are? We are to be something constant, but the body is changing every second. If we are the mind is changing every second. If the organs are changing every second. Even the I consciousness is changing every second. So we cannot be one of these. And then the fun with this I consciousness is that it is shifting. Sometimes we are the body, sometimes the organs, sometimes mind, sometimes the I consciousness. So every aspect is changing and it is shifting. So it cannot be real at all. It has to be a false knowledge. And compared with the Rishi's consciousness. Rishi's consciousness is that reality is one without a second. It is transcendent, immanent reality. It is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. And that we are only a reflection or an abhasa, an appearance of that. And the whole world is nothing but an appearance of that through names and forms. So, compared to that, ours is false. And theirs is real, because that is never changes once that comes. So it is real. And our changes, so it is unreal. And not only that, theirs is such consciousness that the result of that consciousness in their life is that they feel life is fulfilled. They do not feel any want or imperfection in them. And we have wants all through our life. We have desires all through our life. We have imperfections all through our life. And so, that is real, ours is false. And then we saw that there are various Upanishads, because the minds of the receivers are various. Minds of the givers are also various. Though they give the same knowledge that we are one with the universal reality, they give in different ways. And for us, all the ways may be useful. And so, different names are given. Authors or the rishis do not give their names because they aware that this knowledge is eternal and property of everybody. Nobody has a copyright on that. So they do not go for this intellectual copyright. It is not intellectual at all. It is the basic knowledge of the world and ourselves. So they do not give their names, but some names are there to remember certain things. This Muṇḍaka Upanishad tells us that only if we have done Mundana, that means if we are ready to take a life of renunciation, then only this knowledge will function in us. This knowledge will take us to the fulfillment of life only if we are prone to renunciation. We may say that householders have to renounce mentally, and the sannyasis have to renounce both physically and mentally. But renunciation is absolutely necessary. And then we saw that there is a prayer in these books on knowledge. There is a prayer because actually there is no difference between what is called jnanam and what is called bhakti. Two approaches at the most for the same reality. And so every Upanishad starts with a prayer. And prayer is not just Mangalacharana to avoid some obstructions. Obstructions, there is no obstruction except our own ego and our wrong consciousness. And so there is a prayer. Prayer has all the qualities of a resolve. It brings into focus all our faculties. But there is no ego there. There is subjugation of ego, due to which the knowledge from the Rishi flows into us. And so the wordings of the prayers are equally important. That way they will connect us to the knowledge being received. And we must know who we are. We must know what is the subject matter. We must know what is the purpose of our life and same purpose of our study. And we must know how to study to get that purpose. And in this respect, without going to technicalities, Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Vivek, Vairagya and all that, Mukhya, we see that we are persons who are ready to change ourselves so that we get that knowledge. We have to change our physical habits, mental habits, mainly because we have to change the nature of our consciousness. And then only we are called sadhakas or aspirants. And then the subject matter we have seen is that Brahman, that is the universal reality, transcendent, immanent, is our real nature. That is the subject matter, though it is told in different ways. And then the purpose of life, we have seen automatically, it is to gain perfection of life. Freedom, liberation or moksha is a side effect of that. If you are perfect, who will compel us to be born again? We are born again only because of our unfulfilled desire. So if we are perfect, no imperfection, no desires, no fear, then we will not be compelled to be born again. We may assume a body again for helping the people, but we will not be compelled to be born again. And how this connects with that, we have seen through various illustrations and through my Guruji's teaching that we have to study critically and devotionally. We must know why this is said at this place, and we must fill the gap and then try to fill up the gap. And we must, according to that, what illustration was given about Radha, that we must anchor, we must have yearning to realize God. And we must, as a result of this listening, at least, we should get that yearning to realize God. We had seen all this. And then we saw the meaning of the words of the prayers. Om. Om is the nearest unspecified name of Nirguna Saguna Brahman, reality transcendent and reality all-pervading. And Bhadra means auspicious. And worldly auspicious is very different from spiritual auspicious. Spiritually, that which helps us to go Godward is called auspicious. And this is both subjective and objective as seen. That means if the mind becomes purer and purer, everything in the world sends us Godward. And otherwise, in whatever situation our mind we have, so we are praying to the cosmic deities, cosmic powers, which are nothing but powers of Brahman. Please see that we hear only those sounds which are auspicious, which will send you Godwards. And then comes the seeing by the eyes. Ears and eyes are always mentioned because they are the chief means of direct knowledge. And so, with eyes also, we should see what is auspicious, which is taking us Godward. And there, the last word was Yajatra. Yajatra means sacrificial gods. The gods to whom we are sacrificing, which are nothing but aspects of Brahman. And the other side of the word Yajatra is that we the sacrificers. And if we are the sacrificers, the second line tells us we must have our limbs and parts of the body. Our parts of the body and the functional parts of the body should become tranquil, should become steady, should become restful, not restless. And in such restful, peaceful limbs and parts, we praise God. We praise the cosmic deities, or rather we praise God himself. Oh, wonderful God, wonderful. You have created such a world. And in this way, Veshema meaning we found, we should pass happily, not as a burden, not somehow or other to pass the life, but we should spend happily, which is possible only if we spend purposefully. How much life? The Karma Kandis generally pray for 100 years. No. Whatever God decides, let that be our age. But every moment of the age we shall spend purposefully and happily. And the other meaning we saw, Devahitam Yadayu, is that we are not living for ourselves. We are living for, we will live in such a way that it will be useful to the gods. We will live in such a way that it will be useful to the cosmic society. So, that first stanza of the prayer we saw, and that is comparatively abstract or mental. But for practical purposes in life, we do require another prayer. And that is the second stanza. And here we should understand the spiritual meaning again is different than the literal meaning. Swastina Indro Vruddha Shrava. Indra is the cosmic deity in charge of our work. People say Indra is the god of the hand. Hand is a symbol of our work. So, may Indra, the god of our action, be propitious to us. This is the ordinary or literal meaning. But there is a deeper meaning which my Guruji taught me. What is the meaning of being propitious, just like that auspicious? Not that he should give me money or make my work successful in the world, no. If I can realize that this I, the doer, the first prayer should be brought into action in the second prayer. So, if I, the doer, is a reflection of the cosmic I, the doer, That is the propitiousness. Let Indra be propitious means let me feel, let me realize that I am not the doer. It is Indra who is the doer. I am not the doer. It is God who is the doer of every action of mine. That is really propitious. That is what will send me towards God. That is spiritually propitious. And now, if that happens by the grace of God, then this I, which is the obstruction, has two levels. We, every moment, are doing something. And side by side, we are experiencing that we are doing. And if we realize that this doer is God, then our experience changes and we start experiencing nature of God. Remember, when we are doing, we are experiencing also the world and ourselves. But if this doership is taken up by God, or if we realize that doership belongs to God, then we experience the nature of God. Then we do not experience the world with ego. We experience then the nature of God. But that is also an ego. It is the subtler or purer level of ego that I am not the doer, but I am the experiencer of God. And if that melts, Swastina Pusha Vishwa Veda. Vishwa Veda, Veda means knowledge and Veda means money. The worldly prosperity. Now, Vishwa means the whole universe. So the whole universe knowledge or the whole universe property is with Pusha. Pusha, some people will say it is the name of the sun. Sun lights the whole world. But that is only a symbol. Pusha means what we call Hiranya Garbha. We call the cosmic eye. So, my doership goes into the doer eye and I am experiencing, no, the cosmic eye is experiencing through me. That is the propitiousness of Pusha. Let Pusha be propitious unto me means let me experience, let me feel that I, the experiencer, is only a shadow of the cosmic I who is the experiencer. He experiences through me. The experiencer is he. That is called the propitiousness. So this is a 2 steps of the concrete prayer. Let me realize that my active I is a reflection of the cosmic active I, and then let my experiencer I be realized as a reflection of the experiencer I of God, the cosmic experiencer I. Now, these are the positive prayers, but side by side, today in my life, there are many imperfections. In my life, there are my own enemies sitting within me. There are many forces which make me commit errors and mistakes. And that is a practical aspect of life. And unless that is taken care of, how can I progress? So the third line of the prayer is Swastinas Tarksho Arishta Nemi. Tarksha is the eagle, Garuda. He is the enemy of serpents. Serpents means my own faults, my own imperfections, and for them, called the Arishta, the evil in me, Nemi. Nemi is a semi-circular weapon, Nemi. If you take the whole wheel, half of that wheel is a strong weapon. So, Arishta Nemi Tarksha, the Garuda who is like a destroyer, killer of the evil forces, let him be propitious unto me. That means let my evil forces not show their presence.
Okay.
Let my active eye be realized as the shadow of the cosmic active eye. Let my experiencer eye be realized as the shadow of the cosmic experiencer eye. And let the Pusha, that aspect of God who destroys all evil, be propitious unto me, means let him destroy all the evils within me so that I can walk on the path. And then, Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadatu. What is Brahaspati? The Guru or the preceptor of all the gods. And why his name is here? Our spiritual life is successful only in one condition. That is, we must have an ideal personality in front of our eyes. All this is all right, prayer for this and that, but we will succeed only when an ideal personality in front of our eyes. That is Brahaspati. Our own gurus, Sri Ramakrishna himself, Sarada Devi or Swami Vivekananda or Sri Ramakrishna's disciples. So, a perfect character should be in front of us. That is called Swasti, means propitious. Buraspatir Dadhatu. May he, Buraspati, the ideal personality, give us that propitiousness. Let me always have in front of my eyes an ideal personality. So that is the spiritual meaning of the second prayer. As we saw the spiritual meaning of the first prayer, Bhadram, similarly this is the spiritual meaning of the second prayer. And then the usual peace chant. Some people separate and say that was Mangalacharan and now it is Shanti Pat. Some people call the whole thing as Shanti Pat. Prayer and Shanti Pat. Now, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om is again the Shanti or peace or tranquility can be achieved only if our mind is anchored into God. And peace is not of three types. Jokingly we'll say, peace of the mind should not become pieces of the mind. So this peace of the mind is not of three types. Why Shanti is uttered thrice? The causes of disturbance of peace is of three types. There are three types of causes which disturb our peace. And the technical names are Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. Adhyatmika means relating to ourselves. Our body, sickness, restlessness is the first obstruction, first cause of break of our peace. And next is our mind. Our mind is happy, miserable, lazy. So, these are the causes of our disturbance of peace. Now the prayer does not ask that let the causes vanish. If we get no obstruction for peace, we will not have the zest to realize God. We will sleep. So the prayer says that in spite of these, the body may be good or bad, the mind may be good or bad, but I should peacefully, that means steadfastly, walk my path of spirituality. That is the meaning of the first utterance of the word Shanti. Let my body or mind go the way they like. Relatively, if they can be calmed, very nice. But let that disturbance not affect my spiritual progress. And then comes this Adibhautika. Adibhautika means by the nature around me. This again consists of three factors. Nature, that means summer, winter, rainy season. So that should not disturb my progress spiritual. They will happen. We are not asking that whole year round we should have the same temperature. No. Then our health will not maintain itself. The health itself requires that we should have different temperatures. So, let it happen. But whether it is summer or winter or rainy season, I should steadfastly progress on the spiritual life. Then this outside nature contains various beings, domestic animals, forest animals, reptiles, birds, small insects, and they become the source of the breath of peace. And then they will do their work. In spite of them, let me progress steadfastly. That is the second meaning of the second word. But then there are people in this world like me, and they are not going to obstruct me deliberately, though we feel sometimes. But every man has his own world. And when the two words clash, we feel they are disturbing me. So, in this Adibhautika or natural contains three factors. Nature as we understand it, the animal worlds as we understand, and men or women, human species other than me, they should not obstruct me. And let them do their own way. I should progress steadily for the purpose of realizing God. So that is the threefold utterance of the word Shanti, that there are, no, two words only we have discussed. The third word is called Adi Daivika. What is called supernatural? Example is this corona pandemic. Sometimes there is earthquake, sometimes there is landslide. Suddenly something comes which is not in our normal calculation. And that should not throw us out of gear. Let that happen. Even then, I should steadfastly progress on my spiritual life. That is the purport of uttering Shanti thrice. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now, let us enter what is called the Sambandha Bhashya. Sambandha means connection. Our mind, Acharya Shankaracharya, is connecting our mind to the knowledge to be received from the Rishi. That is called Sambandha Bhashya. Introductory commentary. I would say connecting commentary. Then he starts, he does not call it Muṇḍaka Upanishad. It calls it by the name of the first words of the Upanishad. Om Brahma Devanam Ityadya Atharva Upanishad. It is the Upanishad from the Atharva Veda. We had discussed the four Vedas last time. So from the Atharva Veda, Upanishad starting with, and Ityadi does not mean etc. Ityadi means Iti Adi Yesham. Starting with, Ityadi means starting with. The Upanishad, we have seen Upanishad now. The Upanishad starting with Om Brahma Devana. So that is the Muṇḍaka Upanishad. Asyascha Vidya Sampradaya Kartru Parampara Lakshana Sambandham Ado Eva Aha Swayam Eva Suktartham. So there are different types of connection. First connection is a tradition of men of knowledge who transmitted this knowledge generation after generation right up to us. That is Vidya, Sampradaya, Kartru. The Karta, those who did Vidya Sampradaya. Sampradaya means properly giving. A guru gives this Vidya to the disciple. The disciple receives it. And then it fructifies in his life by sadhana. And then he communicates it to his disciple. And the disciple in turn becomes the guru. And then he communicates to his disciple. That is called Sampradaya Paramparya, the lineage. Kartru Paramparya, the lineage of those who help this Vidya transmitted continuously through generations. And that is how it connects with us. Paramparya Lakshana Sambandham. Sambandham means how we get connected with this Vidya. Traditionally, it has been handed down, and we are coming into face with it. Adho in the very beginning of this book, it is stated how the Vidya came to us. Swayameva. That means the Upanishad itself tells this connection. Stutyartham. Why? What is Stuti? Praise of the Vidya. The meaning of the praise in Upanishad is that effectivity in our life. That is the praise. How it changes our life, how it transforms our life. That is called Stuti. And that Stuti, how the Vidya change the life of all the Guru Parampara and how it will change our life. That connection is given by the Upanishad in the beginning itself. He explains now, Evam hi Mahadvi, by great people in this way, Parama Purushartha Sadhanatvena, they took it as the means of achieving the ultimate goal of life. Parama Purushartha. Purushartha means something to be gained by human life. And some people think Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But Dharma, Artha, Kama are not going to fulfill our life. So Parama Purushartha is Moksha. Parama Purushartha is the perfection of life. Sadhanatvena. As a means of realizing the ultimate goal of life, Guruna Yasena Labdha. That means they had to struggle hard to get that from the Guru. Guru might give you, but they have to struggle hard. I will give an example here. Sri Ramakrishna's disciples were doing such hard tapasya in Varanagar Math. How hard? Sw.Pitambarananda, that house was known as a haunted house. Sw.Pitambarananda said, by the hardness of our tapasya, the ghost will run away. So much we are engaged in tapasya. So, Swami Brahmananda, who was Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual child, was asked by Vijay Krishna Goswami that Sri Ramakrishna has given you so much, why you should do tapasya? Brahman Swamiji replied, yes, he has given us so much and we must digest that. We must make it our own, and that is why we must do tapasya. So, the Guru gave to the disciple, but to assimilate that, to make his own, all these great people struggled very hard. Because by that, they gained the perfection of life. Guruna Yasena Labdha Vidya iti Shrotru Buddhi Prarochanaya Vidya Mahi Karoti. Stutyartham is telling that it changed their life totally. Now we the listeners, our mind should be attuned to that. Our mind should be focused on that. So by this praise, we shall understand that if we take it up sincerely, our life will be totally changed. Our life will be fulfilled. That is Shrotru Buddhi Prarochanaya. One word we have not yet explained up till now throughout. Vidya Sampradaya, Labdha Vidya, Vidya Mahi Karoti. So what is Vidya? Sometimes the word Vidya is used synonymous with Jnana of knowledge. Sometimes it means the culture of that knowledge. That knowledge has to be cultivated by us. That knowledge has to be cultured by us. Culture, you understand? The pearls are cultured. So, that root is there, but it has to be cultured. So, this knowledge is there with the rishis. We are receiving that, but it has to fructify in our life. That is called Vidya. Vidya means the fructification or the culture or the cultivation of the knowledge. Stutya praruchitayami vidyayam sadhara pravarteraniti. So, by this stuti is not flattery, showing the effectiveness of our life through the parampara, then we, sadhara, other means respect, other means love. So with love and respect, we will proceed toward that when it has been shown that it fructifies the life. Sadhara pravartaran iti. That is the cause of the being praised. Now, first connection is this. Our connection with the Vidya Sampradaya Kartas is this, that by telling about the Kartas, we will be attuned to that Vidya, knowing that our life will be fulfilled. But there is another connection, which is the real connection between us and the knowledge. Prayojanena tu vidyaya sadhya sadhana lakshana sambandham uttaratra vakshati. Prayojanena sambandham, connection with the goal of life. As I said, how to study the Vidya so that we will get the goal of life. This sambandha, this connection, what is the connection? Sadhya sadhana lakshana. That means it is the aim, and for that we are struggling. The connection is that connection between the aim and the struggle. Uttaratra vakshati will be told in this very Upanishad later on. He is bringing that here to make us understand. And what is that? Vidyate hridaya granthi ityadina. We must remember the whole shloka. It is the 8th mantra of the second section of the second Muṇḍaka. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshaya khiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. Paravare means the Nirguna Brahman and the Saguna Brahman, the transcendent Brahma and the immanent Brahma. When it is realized, what happens? The knot of the heart, that ignorance of wrong knowledge is the source of every evil in us. So that is called the knot of the heart. That knot of the heart is broken. And doubts never leave us. All doubts are broken, destroyed. Chidyante sarva samshaya, when we realize that. Khiyante chasya karmani. Whatever work we have done cannot be destroyed unless it produces its defect. And that is how we are caught in this trap of transmigratory world. But all of them go to nothingness if that is realized. And so, that is the connection that we should study in such a way that we realize the truth, and by which the knot of the heart is cut asunder, by which doubts vanish, by which all the momentum of the past work is brought to a standstill. Ityadina. Atra cha, now, prayojanana vidyaya sambandha uttaratra vakshati. You will be told later on. But here itself, atra cha. Atra means in the beginning itself. Apara shabda vachayam, Rigvedadi lakshanayam, vidhi pratisheda matra parayam vidyayam, sansara karana avidyadi dosha nivartakam nasti iti swayameva uktva, parapara vidya bheda karana purvakam, avidyayam antare vartamana ityadina, tatha paraprapti sadhanam, sarva sadhana sadhya vishaya vairagya purvakam, Guru Prasada Labhyam, Brahma Vidyam Aha, Pariksha Lokan Ityadina. So here itself that connection is told. What is the connection? The Upanishad in the beginning will distinguish between Apara Vidya and Paravidya. The lower knowledge and the higher knowledge. Now, in this context, so much misunderstanding prevails in scholars also. They say Aparavidya is science, Paravidya is religion. But Apara and Para are given, the words we get only from the Muṇḍaka Upanishad. So we must listen to what the Muṇḍaka Upanishad has to tell about it. Apara Shabda Vachayam Rigvedadi Lakshanayam. All the Vedas, all the religion, all the religious teachings are lower knowledge. Vidhi Pratisheda Matra Parayam. What it does, the karma kanda of the Vedas, what it does, do this or do not do that. Do's and don'ts, it is filled with do's and don'ts. By that vidya, samsara karana vidyadi dosha nivartakam nasti. What is the karana of sansar, transmigration? Wrong knowledge. So do this or do not do this have no power to destroy the wrong knowledge, which is at the root of transmigration. In that way, parapara vidya bheda karana purvakam. So it has distinguished the para and apara vidya. What is paravidya? Paravidya is not any particular book. Yaya para yaya tad aksharam adhigamyate. Para is that by which the transcendent reality is realized. Whatever helps to realize that is paravidya. So paravidya depends upon the nature of reality, not on what we do or do not do. And so, ityadina tatha paraprapti sadhanam sarva sadhana sadhya vishaya vairagya purvakam. Very important. We should have vairagya, dispassion. About what? Not about good food or good clothes or good this or that. That is not vairagya. If we do this, we achieve that. That is what the karma kanda is telling us. If you do this, you will get that. Now, Brahma Vidya is not such a thing that if you do this, you will get that. Brahma Vidya is the realizing our own real nature. There this, I am doing this itself is destroyed. We have seen that through the prayer. So, that which cuts at the root, we should have dispassion about anything we achieve by doing something. It may appear strange, but that is spirituality. Anything we obtain as the result of doing something is apara vidya, lower knowledge. The real knowledge is to realize our own real nature. And by that, we go beyond this subject-object relation, because our real nature and the world's real nature is not different. So that is paravidya, by which we realize our real nature. So we require dispassion about this very idea that I will get something by doing something. But One more thing is necessary in Paravidya. All this Upanishad will tell in the beginning itself. Guru Prasada Labhya. By the grace of the Guru. It is such an important thing stressed in this Muṇḍaka Upanishad in the beginning itself. And Shankar will explain it there when we go. Such a sadhana, in order to get that, which is not a part of doing and getting, which is eternal and real, to get that, he must go to a Guru. By his own effort, it will not come. Because our mind works in Maya. Our mind works through this deceptive wrong knowledge. So how do we know we are proceeding correctly? It is that mind which has gone beyond. He detects our faults. He corrects our faults. And he guides us on the way to progress of spiritual or realizing our own real nature. So it is by the grace of Guru that we realize that. So we should have dispassion about doing something to get something, and we must get the Guru's grace. That is how the Vidya is connected with us. How the Vidya we get connected with the goal of life, how this culture of real knowledge will connect us with the goal of life, through dispassion and through the grace of Guru. Brahma Vidyamaha Pariksha Lokan Ityadina. So that shloka we have to refer to immediately. That is the 12th shloka, 12th mantra from the second section of the first chapter itself. Pariksha Lokan Karma Chitan Brahmano Nirvedamayat Nasti Akruta Krutena Kimsyat Tad Vijnanartham Gurumeva Vigachet Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. One more point is there. We have to approach the Guru with a sacrificing, humble attitude. Pariksha Lokan Karma Chitta. That means if we do karma, we will get some result. That is called lokas, higher or lower lokas. Now we examine all that. We need not go to all the lokas, but we, through example and through logic and reason, we examine all the lokas which are obtained as the result of work. What we find? Nasti akruta. There is nothing in the world which is not a result of some work. Krute na kim syat. What shall I do with such thing which is finite? This is the nature of Vairagya. What shall I do to get something which is the result of my work? Then what I want? Tad Vijnanartham. To experience or realize that. What is that? My eternal real nature. My eternal real nature, I have to experience that. Sa Gurumeva Vigach. Nirvedamaya, that is Vairagya. Sa Gurumeva Vigache. One must go to a Guru. What should be the Guru? Shrotriyam Brahmanishta. One who knows the inner meaning of the Vedas and one who is steadfast in his Brahma realization. And how we should approach? Samit Pani, with offerings in our hand as a symbol of our surrender to him. That is that mantra. So through that mantra, he is telling about the Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman, Ityadina. So, in a way, subject matter, Adhikari, and the Sambandha has been taught. And all these things depend on the purpose of life. So the purpose of life or purpose of study is separately shown by Shankaracharya. Prayojanam cha asakrut bhaviti. Prayojana will be repeatedly told here. Brahma Veda Brahma Iva Bhavati iti. If we know Brahman, we become Brahman. That is our real nature. So it is a question of realizing that. If we realize that, we get our real nature. We become that real nature. That is the purpose of life. Iti. Paramruta parimuchanti sarve iti cha. And all those who become free in this life will be free after death also. Paramruta parimuchanti sarve iti cha. So, purpose of life has been described as becoming reality and automatically not being born again. Now, Adhikar is taking last. Adhikar is taking last. Jnana matre yadyapi sarvashraminam adhikara. Fitness. Jnana matra. Here jnana means informative knowledge. Jnana matre, only informative knowledge. Sarvashraminam adhikara. That means this book, if this book contains knowledge, everybody can read it. Whether it is a grahastha, householder, or a sannyasi, or a vanaprasthi, or a student, everybody has the right to read a book. Nobody can obstruct that. But if we have to gain our purpose of life, sannyasa nishtha eva brahma vidya moksha sadhanam na karma sahita iti. Sannyasa nishtha. What is sannyasa? We have just now discussed two stages of I. When the doer I has gone and the experiencer of God I remains, and that also ultimately merges in God. That part of life is called sannyas. Sannyas means having given up the doer I to slowly melt the experiencer I in God. If the vidya is sannyasa nishtha, that means steadfastness towards that. If the vidya makes us steadfast towards that giving up of doer I and the experiencer I, then only moksha sadhanam, then only it is a means of getting us freedom. Then only it is a means of getting us perfection in life. Na karma sahita iti. That means knowledge is not information. We'll get knowledge and we'll do karma also. If we retain our doership, we cannot get it. One must transcend the doership and then one must gradually transcend the experiencership also. So, that is how the knowledge will function in us to get us perfection. That also is shown here. Bhakshacharyam charanta. That he goes and begs food. Why he begs food? Because he does not earn money. He does not keep a store. And so he has to fulfill his bodily function because he has yet to do sadhana. So what is left for him? Beg your food. So Bhakshacharyam charanta means become a sannyasi. Sannyasa yoga. And more directly it is said, by the sannyasa as yoga, through this sannyasa as a yoga, one will realize God. Iti cha bruvan darshayati. Saying like that, the Upanishad will show you the adhikar. Adhikar, everybody has to read the book. But who will spiritually benefit from it is shown through these words, that if it leads to renunciation, then it functions. Through renunciation only it functions. So in this way, it has been mentioned who is fit for that. Now, lastly he said, na karma sahita, not retaining this doership. Now that has to be further elaborately explained. And what is that? Vidya karma virodhacha. Karma means doership. Karma means subject interacting with objects. Vidya means obliteration of this distinction. Vidya means the reality, which is the reality of both subject and object. Subject-objectless reality is the Vidya. And maintaining subject and object, that is karma. So they are opposite to each other. So retaining this doership, we cannot realize God. Nahi brahmatmaikatva darshanena sakarma swapnepi sampadaitum shakyam. Even in dream, we cannot have experience or vision that Brahman is my reality and do karma also, which requires subject and object. Even in dream, it is not possible. Vidyaya kala vishesha abhavat aniyata nimittatvat kala sankocha anupapatti. Now in karma there is a proper time and so much time is required. You must do it in the morning or evening. You must do when such and such time is there. That is not true about Vidya. Vidya you can cultivate throughout your life, day, noon, evening, night, everywhere. So Vidya has no special time. While doing something has special time. Abhavat aniyata nimittatva kala sank. Aniyata nimittatva. We cannot say that this has given me knowledge. We struggle and the knowledge comes. So it is not doing this we get this, no. Aniyata nimittatva. So many factors are involved and the knowledge comes. Kala sankocha anupapatti. So we cannot limit the time for Vidya. We cannot limit the time for Vidya. We have to continuously do that and it may come sometime. Yattu, an objection. Grasteshu Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Karturtvadi Lingam na tasita nyayam baditum utsate. Lingam, that means we see the sign that even householders had that Vidya. Like Janaka is a great example. So, Sampradaya Karturtvadi Lingam, that means they started their own parampara. Sri Krishna was a married person. Sri Ramakrishna was a married person, though he was the king of the Tyagis. And they started this parampara. So will that not destroy the rule that we must renounce? Tasthita nyayam na baditum utsate. This rule which is there, that sannyasa nishtha only will give you realization, they cannot break that rule. Some examples as signs will not break that rule. How to understand this? I have just now said that they have renounced everything mentally, though they appear to be grostas, and so that does not break the rule that the parampara is by means of renunciation. Nahi vidishate napi tama prakashayor ekatra sadbhava shakyate kartum kimuta lingai kevala riti. So this is only some symbolic thing that the Grosthas were like that. But even if the Vedas say 100 times that darkness and light can be combined, it is not possible. So doership and non-doership cannot be combined. So he says, I have described now all the Anubandha Chatushtaya, Eva Mukta Sambandha Prayojanaya. This is the connection and the prayojan. Upanishado, the knowledge, Alpaksharam Grantha Vivaranam Arapet. He will not go about beating the bush. he will tell directly the meaning. Now, from the meaning of the word which we derived in the beginning, he derives in the end, Ya imam brahma vidyam upayanti atma bhavena. Atma bhavena, by absorbing that. Those who approach this vidya, Shraddha Bhakti Purassara Santa. So that Upa is translated as with Shraddha and Bhakti. See Shankaracharya's meaning. Bhakti is the only means of getting knowledge, last time we saw. So here also he says that those who approach this Vidya, Shraddha Bhakti Purassara Santa, we'll discuss this again, Shraddha. Tesham, for those adhikaris, Garbha, Janma, Jara, Roga, the Anartha, Pugam, Nishatayat. All the evils to be in the mother's womb, to be born, to be old, all these evils are destroyed. Parama Brahma Gamayati. And will make us reach Parabrahma. You will get Parabrahma. Avidyadi sansara karanam cha atyantam avasadayati. And the cause of transmigration is wrong knowledge that will be destroyed forever. Iti Upanishad. That is the threefold meaning of the word Upanishad. Upani purvasya sadir evam artha smarana. So Upa and Ni attached to Sad gives this meaning. So in that way we are read the connecting commentary and we shall read the first mantra next Wednesday. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Deva Bhadram Pashe Makshabhir Yajatra Stirai Rangai Stuštavansas Tanubi Vyashema Deva Hitam Yadayu Swastina Indro Vruddha Shrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starkyo Arishtanemi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadatu Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.